Today, we're going to dive into a pretty personal story that shines a light on a health issue that affects millions but is often talked about in whispers: non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We're going to follow one woman's journey based on her own telling of it, from a diagnosis that knocked her off her feet to what she describes as a total recovery. Let's get into it. Wow. It all kicks off with this single sentence. Just imagine that for a second. You go to the doctor because you're feeling a little run down. Maybe you need more sleep. And you walk out of that office with the news that you have a serious disease. For the woman in our case study, Jennifer Williams, this was that exact moment, the one where everything changes. So Jennifer's official diagnosis was non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD for short. And her reaction, as the source describes it, was just pure shock. It's not something anyone expects to hear. And the weight of that diagnosis, of having a serious disease, was really just the beginning of her ordeal. And this is where that feeling of helplessness really started to creep in. She was told there wasn't a medical cure, no pill to take, no procedure to fix it. The only advice she got was, eat more healthily. But what does that even mean? It's so vague, right? It's the kind of advice that leaves you feeling totally alone, with this huge problem and no clear instructions on how to solve it. And to make matters even worse, she quickly learned that NAFLD isn't something that just stays the same. She actually described it as feeling like she was on a conveyor belt, just moving slowly but surely toward a really scary, uncertain future. Because this disease, well, it progresses in stages.
So let's break down that conveyor belt she was talking about. It all starts with stage 1, just a simple fatty liver. But if it's left unchecked, it can move to stage 2, which is called NASH. That's when inflammation starts. From there, you get to stage 3, fibrosis, where that inflammation starts causing actual scarring. And the last stop on this conveyor belt is stage 4, cirrhosis. That's permanent damage that can lead to liver failure or even cancer. You can see why that vague advice to just eat healthier felt so terrifyingly inadequate.
And look, her fear wasn't just in her head. The case study she read actually cited CDC data showing that deaths from liver disease have been climbing every single year since 2007. So her fear was tied to a very real, very serious trend. So, you're faced with a progressive disease. You've got no clear medical roadmap. What do you do? Well, for Jennifer, that fear eventually turned into determination. She had this realization that if her lifestyle got her into this mess, then maybe, just maybe, changing her lifestyle was the way out. But she needed a real plan, not just vague suggestions. This slide just sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you have the doctor's generic advice. On the other side, you have Jennifer's reality, which was just total confusion. She did what pretty much all of us would do. She went online for answers. And what did she find? A complete mess of conflicting information that just made her feel even more lost. And then she had what the source calls a brainwave. She remembered this old health forum she used to visit years ago. On a whim, she posted her story, and she got a simple reply that ended up changing everything. Someone mentioned they had completely reversed their fatty liver by following a very specific program. And this was the roadmap she had been so desperately looking for. The program was built around a really clear 3-pillar method. It wasn't just more vague advice. It was an actual, structured plan designed to help restore liver health. So what were these 3 pillars? Simple: detox, diet, and movement. Now, our first reaction was total skepticism, which I think we can all relate to. The word detox sounds kind of fatty, diet just sounds like failure waiting to happen, and movement, well, who has time for that? But she looked a little closer, and it turns out this approach was very different from what she was expecting. Okay, pillar 1, detox. And no, we're not talking about some weird juice fast. The program explained it as a really practical way to just give your liver a break. It was about identifying and cutting back on some common chemicals found in processed foods, plastics, even things like household cleaners, just to reduce the liver's daily workload so it has a chance to heal. Next up, pillar 2, diet. And again, this was not about deprivation or starvation. It was a lifestyle plan that focused on adding good liver-supporting foods while simply avoiding a few specific trigger foods, things that we know are hard on the liver. The whole idea was to make smart choices, not to be miserable. And that brings us to pillar 3, movement. And this is where things got really interesting for her. The main exercise plan called for just 21 minutes a day. That's it. Not hours in a gym, just 21 minutes of gentle movement that could be worked into her daily routine. And get this, for those crazy busy days when even 21 minutes felt impossible, the program had a backup plan that took only 7 minutes. 7! This was the key. It was realistic, it was designed for a real person with a real busy life.
Okay, so you have these 3 pillars, but how do you actually put them into practice without just getting completely overwhelmed? Well, the program lays it all out in a super manageable 28-day plan. The whole point is to turn these new actions into habits that stick.
And it was designed to be gradual. You're not jumping into the deep end on day 1. Week 1, you start small. Week 2, you build on that. Week 3, you add a little more. So by the time you get to the end of that first month, these changes don't feel forced anymore. According to the source, they start to feel totally natural, almost instinctive. Which brings us to the part we've all been waiting for, the results. After feeling so scared and so lost, Jennifer actually committed to this step-by-step plan. So what happened? Did it actually work? Well, here it is. This is the payoff. According to her story, her follow-up medical tests confirmed it. The fat was gone. She no longer had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That right there is the end of her journey with NAFLD, and she got there not with a pill, but by systematically changing her lifestyle. And the good news didn't stop with her liver. Her story says that a whole bunch of other positive changes came along for the ride. She had way more energy, she was sleeping better, her moods were more stable, and she lost nearly 18 pounds, all without ever feeling like she was on a restrictive diet. Her entire sense of well-being was transformed. Ultimately, Jennifer's story is really about empowerment. It's about taking control back when you feel like you've lost it, and it leaves us with a really powerful question to chew on. In an age where we're always searching for the next miracle pill, what happens when the most effective cure isn't in a bottle, but in the choices we make for ourselves every single day?